Welcome to the collection of the wildest and craziest AITA Reddit stories of all time. From wild betrayals to shocking twists, these tales will leave you questioning who is really in the wrong. Let's dive in together. The first story for this collection is from C_illustrator_2459. AITA, because my boyfriend's mother ruined our relationship by interfering and calling me a Karen? I, 42F, have 3 kids who we're going to call Marcus, 16M, Kurt, 10M, and Emma, 7F. Marcus started dating his girlfriend, whom we're going to call Layla, 16F, a few weeks ago. I've been trying to be supportive, but she's been terrible to my son. She's been trying to get him to skip class, sneak out, and other stuff like that. She makes him happy though, so I've been supportive of their relationship. But I have talked to him a few times about their behavior. We were at Kurt's soccer game last Saturday. Kurt isn't that passionate about soccer, but he has fun since a lot of his friends are on his team and tries his best anyway. His siblings have been supportive as well, or so I thought. When Kurt goes to his games, Marcus always tries to bring Layla. I usually refuse since it's usually just family that goes to Kurt's games, but this time I said he could, which was a pretty stupid idea looking back. During the game on Saturday, Kurt missed a goal, and I heard Layla laugh. I brushed it off and didn't think much of it. Then, I saw her whisper something to Marcus, then he laughed while looking at Kurt. Again, I didn't think much of it, aside from the fact that they might have been making fun of Kurt, which I wasn't proud of. A few minutes later, Emma told me she wanted to get water from the fountain, and that she wanted someone to go with her since it was pretty far from the field. Layla offered to take her and I let her. I didn't trust Layla, but I thought it would be fine. They hadn't come back for 10 minutes, and I assumed that maybe one of them had to use the restroom, but eventually I got worried, and asked Marcus if he knew anything, and he said he didn't, but I really didn't believe him. I told Marcus to keep an eye on Kurt and started to look for her. I found Emma near the fountain, crying. Layla wasn't there. I asked her what happened, and she said that Layla just left her there. I grabbed Emma and came back to our seats and Layla was there, laughing with Marcus. I asked her what the hell happened, and she said she thought it would be funny to leave my daughter there. I asked her why the hell she thought it was funny to make my kid cry, but she said it was just a joke. I had enough of her crap, so I started yelling at her and scolded her for everything, laughing at Kurt, leaving Emma and being a bad influence on Marcus. She honestly seemed not to regret anything, and just said that I was being controlling and a Karen. She left right away, and Marcus tried to follow her, but I wouldn't let him. I knew that Layla was a bad influence and that she was only hurting my son. Now, Marcus is really mad at me and claims I ruined his relationship. AITA. OP is not an AH. She acted to protect her younger children from neglect and emotional harm, and rightly called out Layla's harmful behavior. As for scores, I would rate OP's son's girlfriend 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to the next story from GFJGFHHG12811. AITA for canceling my son's graduation party? My husband, 39M, and I, 39F, have 3 children, 16F, 13M, and 11M. In my family, we do graduation parties for elementary, middle, and high school. I had graduation parties for all these graduations, as did my siblings. This year, our middle child, Blaze, is graduating from middle school, and our youngest, Arnold, is graduating from elementary school. Blaze and his friends often go to the park to shoot hoops. Most are on his baseball team and are very athletic, and our local park has a lot of amenities for sports. Arnold is an introvert and mostly plays games and reads his comics. But on Saturday, there was an event run by a local gaming cafe that Arnold frequents. Blaze and his friends walked to the park, and I wanted Arnold and his friend to go with them, but Arnold refused, and I drove them there and dropped them off. When I went to pick Arnold and his friends up, Blaze and his friends were behind, and I asked Blaze what was up. Blaze told me they were shooting hoops when they saw a young man sitting on the bench looking upset. They recognized the man and said he goes to the park a lot and they talk to him every once in a while. One of Blaze's friends went up to the man to ask him if he was okay, and he hesitated before telling them that a group of young boys harassed him when he was taking a walk, so the harassment didn't happen at the actual event. By calling him the F-slur, laughing at him and telling him he was weird and disgusting. The man said they looked around the kid's age, maybe a bit younger. At this point, the other boys went up to the man and were told what happened and told him he should tell authorities. The man said it wasn't a big deal, and then Blaze showed him an image of Arnold and asked if Arnold was one of the boys, and the man said he thought so. Blaze then found where the gaming setup was and asked Arnold why he harassed this man. Arnold told Blaze that he wasn't his dad and that he did nothing wrong, and Arnold and his friends started to laugh when Blaze told the boys they upset the man. Blaze got the number of the man and I texted him when I got home. The man thanked me for reaching out, said he just wanted us to talk to our kids and not to formally report anything. I contacted the parents of the other boys and they were very upset about what their sons did as well. I discussed how to proceed with my husband and we told Arnold that he was going to have to write an apology to the man, learn about the effects of bullying on LGBT people and write a report about it, and that his graduation party was cancelled. I texted in an extended family group chat that the graduation party was cancelled because Arnold was grounded. My sister and mom both called me soon after and I explained to them what happened. Both said that the apology and education were enough and that I shouldn't try to ruin a family vacation. I told them that Arnold was refusing to apologize and be educated, and even if he did accept it, he still wouldn't have his party. They said I was being too harsh on Arnold. I have heard from other family members since, and all agree with my sister and mom. Even our daughter agrees with them. The only one who thinks Arnold should keep this punishment is Blaze. The rest of my family is saying Blaze is biased because he knew the man. The man is just some innocent college student. He seems like a fine young man, and he did not deserve this. Arnold is still refusing the other parts of his punishment as well. Since Saturday, he has doubled and tripled down. His friends' mothers have contacted me, saying they are facing similar problems. I am worried that Arnold and his gang of friends will only become resentful and more homophobic once they enter middle school next year. My husband and I are wondering if we took this too far. AITA. OP is not the AH. She took responsible and necessary steps to address her son's harmful behavior, prioritizing accountability and education over celebration. As for scores, I would rate OP's son 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump on to the next story from Sweep Spotty. AITA for making my dad's wife feel worthless because I won't call her my parent? My dad got married 2 years ago when I, 17F, was 15 and my sister, 19F, was 17. Our mom died when we were 6 and 8 years old, so dad was alone for years, and we were okay with dad finding someone. The two of us had told him we'd support him getting married again for years. When we got older, we asked him to understand that his new partner would never be a parent or a new mom for us. He respected that and has held up his bargain mostly. He started dating his wife Claire 4 years ago. They met online and were long distance throughout the dating stage. She moved in with us when they got engaged, which was still 2 years ago. My sister didn't like her from the start, but was civil. I thought she was nice enough. We get along better than I expected, honestly. But we have an issue, and it's only getting worse. Claire wants to be seen as our parent. If her and dad are asked if they're my parents, she's so quick to say yes, and if someone asks if there's a parent there for me and it's only her, she'll say yes. I say no. I have always said no when asked if she's my parent. I let people know she's married to my dad, but I'll tell people I know that it was when I was already 15, so I don't see her that way. My dad has backed me up on that. But Claire is so bothered by it now that she asked me why I won't call her my parent. She told me she's doing her best to be a good one, and I told her I'm good with her just being a cool person to me. No need to try and pretend she raised me. I told her when she met me, I was already independent enough without her, and that hasn't changed since her arrival. What I mean by that is I'm used to doing things for myself. If I'm home alone, I'll make whatever meal it's time for. I do my laundry 90% of the time, and she and dad split doing household laundry the other 10%. I walk most places, or sometimes I'll get friends to pick me up since I don't drive. I work part-time and have my own money. And I have dad there when I need or want a parent for something. I've never asked her to fill that role. I don't want her to. She expected to be a parent to me and to my sister. My sister was hostile when Claire mentioned that to her. I tried a more casual and laid-back approach, but I know it upset her. She told me she doesn't want to be just a friend or dad's wife. She wants to be a parent to us. She wants to feel like she has worth in this family, and that the only way she'll have that is through being acknowledged as a parent. I told her I wasn't going to do that. I told her she's only been in my life for a small amount of time, and she didn't do any parenting. I told her I know she tried, but I pointed out again that I didn't need it. My dad told her it was unreasonable to expect 15 and 17-year-olds to see a new person in that way. He acknowledged it does happen sometimes, but largely not. She brought up how my sister and I make her feel worthless when we won't let her be called our parent. Dad's now changed his stance a bit. He told her it was ultimately up to us. But he's pressed for me to find a way to compromise and let her be my parent sometimes, because she deserves to feel like she has true worth to the family. He asked if it would be so bad to have two parents, and I told him it would never feel right. I said not just because of Mom, but because when Claire moved in, I was already capable and doing so much, and I only rely on him for parenting. Things are kind of weird now, and it's frustrating. AITA. OP is not the AH. She is entitled to her feelings and boundaries regarding parental roles, especially after losing her mom young and being already independent. Claire's desire for validation is understandable but shouldn't come at the cost of OP's comfort. So, I would rate OP's dad's wife, Clary, 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to the next story from Mission Host 5128. AITA for using my family background to try and make my husband's brother consider his actions and how they'll impact his child? I'm 27, married to Noah, 29, and he has a brother Sean, 25. Sean's life is going down a pretty chaotic path, and there's a lot of déjà vu for me within the current events. Sean has a 3-year-old with an ex. They cheated on each other and broke up. Sean's currently in a relationship with the woman he cheated with, and they're engaged or talking about getting engaged. They're at least looking to be more serious/official. They also discussed having kids together. But Sean and his child's mother are growing closer again, and they have potentially already slept together again, and there's growing tension over it. Sean's current partner and his ex hate each other. The ex doesn't want the current partner around their child. Sean's current partner wants Sean's child to love her and consider her an equal parent, and for them to be a perfect little family. Sean appears to have at least some feelings for both women. Sean's child has been put in the middle more than is fair already. And Sean's current partner is willing to hang on out of spite, or so she told me when she vented about it. I'm unfortunately too familiar with this kind of setup. See, my dad had a daughter who's 12 years older than me. He cheated on her mom with mine, and then my parents got married. Then I was born after years of growing tensions between the adults. Then my dad cheated on my mom with his ex. They had another daughter together when I was 2. So, I had 2 half-sisters. Even before my younger half-sister was born, it appears there were suspicions that Dad was cheating with my half-sister's mom. My older half-sister loved my younger half-sister but hated me. It got worse when my younger half-sister turned 1 and their mom died. The household was chaotic, and my older half-sister stayed after 18 because she wanted to stop my younger half-sister from bonding with me, my mom, or even my dad. Then my parents died when I was 8 and my younger half-sister was 6. My older half-sister fought for custody of my younger half-sister, and I went into foster care because I didn't have a single relative who wanted me. Mom's side was very sparse, and it was her cousins she never saw, mostly. Dad's side didn't want to lose my half-sisters and so rejected me in the process. The courts and my caseworker tried to enforce visitation between me and my younger half-sister, but for reasons I don't know, they never truly did. I never saw either of my half-sisters again, and I was told it was my older half-sister's choice. She refused to comply with the sibling visitation. And I never had a long-term foster family, so I grew up without a family. Noah became my family eventually, and his family has been sweet. But no blood relatives want to know me. This includes my half-sisters who rejected me as adults. I only grew to learn the family history when I was 18/19 years old, and I discovered that a lot of that had built anger and resentment on the part of my older half-sister. This in turn meant she wanted me out of her and my younger half-sister's life. Learning everything hurt. It made me realize how unfair it was that everything played out the way it did. I know we all lost. But I grew up with nobody because of adults and their choices. Because my parents and my dad's ex couldn't let go and think of the child first, and later the children. I see a lot of potential for Sean's situation to become similar. I know all the parents dying before everyone's an adult is extremely unlikely to happen. But the thing is, anything can happen. Hell with the hatred building, some of them could be arrested. There could be other stuff that'd play out. And so, I shared everything with him as a cautionary tale. I used my family background to make him consider his actions and how they affect his child and any future children he chooses to have. He got kind of angry with me at first, but then he came back and apologized for getting mad at me. And he told me he'd be careful not to have a repeat of history. But then his partner told me I had no right to interfere, and I should mind my own business instead of projecting onto them. Which I feel like I might have done. My husband said it's with good reason, and he told me I wasn't wrong about how much risk they were taking if the adults couldn't at least have healthy relationships across the board. But I'm now worried I overstepped. AITA. The OP is not an AH. She shared her personal family history to warn Sean about the potential consequences of his complicated relationships, hoping to protect his child from similar harm. As for scores, I would rate OP's brother-in-law 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump on to the next story from dense_mushroom_4303. AITA for telling my dad's family he's choosing his abusive girlfriend over me? I 16F am a child of divorce, like most people in the world. When I was 3, my dad started dating this woman, N, and they went on to have 4 kids, all under 13 at this point. After my little sister, who's 9 now, A, was born, N started excessively drinking non-stop. She stopped drinking when she was pregnant with my little brother, 8, but I'm not entirely sure she did with my other brother, 6, as he shows signs of FAS. She has been increasingly abusive towards my dad and siblings, going as far as throwing my sisters into walls and across rooms on multiple occasions. She has attacked my dad with knives, kicked me out of my dad's house in the middle of the night for stepping between her and my siblings. I've had to call 911 3 separate times because of her meltdowns. She's been arrested on a bunch of misdemeanors, DV charges, and assault charges, and managed to get herself a felony destruction of property while in jail one night. She's never done any real jail time as the cops only get called when she's drunk, though she has been sobering up a lot of the times I've caught her abusing my siblings. When I was growing up, she did everything she could to keep me from my dad, going as far as to block my number on his phone and hiding his keys and wallet so that he couldn't hang out with me. Here's where the real story starts. Last year, about a week before Christmas, I was spending a Saturday night at my dad's house with my best friend, like I've done quite a few times. Of course, N was completely trashed drunk and incoherent by the time I got there at like 6 p.m. Everything was fine for a couple hours before she lost her mind, genuinely out of nowhere, and it led to her getting arrested for assaulting me and my dad in front of 3/4 of her children. Safe to say we've had a standing restraining order since then, not my choice, it's court-ordered. Every summer for the last 5 years we've gone on 2 big camping trips with a bunch of my dad's friends and their kids, one of whom is one of my best friends in the whole wide world. One of which we leave for in like exactly a week. Yesterday I was with my dad and he told me that I have to pick which camping trip I want to go on because N has to go to one, but that N is going to the one we leave for in a week, so I have to pick, but it can't be the one we leave for in a week. Last year on one of these camping trips she rubbed her bare vagina on a 20-year-old boy's leg while blacked out drunk. I got upset with my dad for punishing me for something I had no part in causing because I look forward to these trips all year and he knows that, and it just threw me over the edge because how are you, my deadbeat dad, going to tell me I can't go to one of these trips because your psychopathic girlfriend who has straight up bullied me since they got together? But he wouldn't listen to me and just kept talking about how he's the one getting truly hurt by all of this, so in hopes that maybe he wouldn't finally understand how much he's hurt me by choosing her for as long as I can remember, I made a group chat with my grandma and uncle, my dad's mom and older brother, and asked them if they would talk to him because they've witnessed how N has treated me over the years. My uncle said he'd talk to my dad and called him a man-child, and my grandma said she'd talk to him and try to find a middle ground, and has to ask her parole officer if she can go on this trip today knowing that I will be there. My dad said I have a choice and I'm picking this trip. So, my mom and I are trying to figure out how to go about telling her PO that she knows I'll be there. But in the past little bit, I've started worrying about how mad my dad's going to be at me for telling his family. AITA. OP is not an AH. She's been subjected to ongoing abuse and neglect by her dad's girlfriend and has taken reasonable steps to seek support from family when her dad refuses to protect her or consider her feelings. OP's concern for her safety and well-being is valid. As for scores, I would rate OP's dad 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the scale. Let's now move on to the last story from Hill Sun Swing. AITA for expecting my dad to make his wife leave me alone and telling her I don't care that he was a bad husband to her? My parents have been divorced for a long time now. Probably like 15 years now. I'm 17, so I don't remember them being together. They divorced because Dad cheated with the woman he's married to, Sarah. It's always been obvious that my dad missed my mom and regretted breaking up their marriage. But he never regretted it enough to end everything with Sarah and just focus on being a good dad. Instead, he married Sarah eventually, but she was always second best. I never liked Sarah because she was always open about hating my mom, and I didn't like that. She'd say in front of me that mom had let herself go since having me, that she was never that pretty from the photos she saw, and didn't get why he ever liked her. She'd say mom was a bad mother because my hair was a mess. My hair's so difficult to manage and it's wavy/curly, and because I wasn't dressed in really fashionable clothes. She'd lash out at my dad's relatives for asking me about mom. She even called my mom a dumb right in front of me when I was 9. Even with all that, my dad would talk about mom a lot, and he'd make excuses to be around her. He'd show up to my extracurriculars and spend more time focused on my mom than me. He sent my mom birthday gifts every year, but gave nothing to Sarah. He missed their anniversary every year. Sarah was in the hospital twice since they got married, once for her appendix and another time for an ulcer or something, and he didn't visit her, but my dad tried to see my mom when she had knee surgery. He didn't care when I didn't tell Sarah where I was going and just left his house to do stuff. She'd get upset and talk about the lack of respect. Which I don't respect her. Dad never cared. I knew he treated her like shit. I could see it was mom he wanted, and he was with her because once he cheated, there was no coming back from it. But Sarah clung on for so long. Now their marriage is in deep shit, and Sarah's all about trying to force a relationship with me that isn't there. She's tried to get me to say I want a relationship with her if she and my dad divorce. Or she's told me about her hurt feelings and cried when I shrugged and left her to talk to herself about it. I stopped going to my dad's because of it, and I ignored her calls, then I muted her, and later blocked Sarah. But she'd try to pick me up from school to hang out, and she showed up at my job a few times wanting to walk me home and stuff. I always turned her down, and she'd get upset. So, I went to my dad's house the other night and told him I wanted him to make Sarah leave me alone. I told him I was so tired of her acting like I give a shit about her. And I told Sarah that I don't care that Dad was a bad husband to her and that she's second best. I said I always saw that and I never cared about her, so stop burdening me with her feelings and leave me alone, regardless of what she decides. Yesterday, my dad was going crazy about it all. He told me my expectations were too high and he bitched about Sarah wanting marriage counseling. He said it was my fault because of all the stuff I said. I know Sarah's an adult and my dad can't control her, so maybe it was wrong for me to expect him to. Might have been wrong to say what I did to Sarah, too. AITA. OP is not an She's dealing with a difficult and toxic situation where her dad's wife, Sarah, is disrespectful and invasive despite clear boundaries. While her words to Sarah were harsh, they came from years of frustration and feeling ignored. As for scores, I would rate OP's dad's wife, Sarah, 2.5, and OP 0 out of 5 on the scale. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an or not? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.